I would like to say that when I was a child, rather than listening to fairy tales, I liked to hear my grandmother's stories about her experiences as a teacher. She was a wonderful teacher, a wonderful person, and a great role model. And as I got older, my grandmother gave me great advice. When I decided to become a teacher, she told me, if you ever have trouble with students, figure out how to love them more. And that was advice that really stayed with me, and it was so true. And I'm going to start by just reading from the introduction of my book, and then I'll just read a small part from the last section. I want to say that what characterizes my work from other people I know who do crisis intervention is that I combine crisis intervention with grief therapy. When people are in crisis, they are usually going through loss. If they are in a huge conflict, there might be a loss of face, a loss of pride. If they've been raped, it's a loss of innocence. Every conflict and crisis that I've described in this book includes a lot of loss. And when we use grief therapy to work with people who are in crisis, it is really helpful because it reframes what they're going through and helps us to keep from being judgmental. If they're feeling really angry, well, anger is part of grief. Yeah. And if they're depressed for a long time, that is also a part of grief. And it helps to bring that to the awareness of people, young and old. And I don't know if it's really clear in my book. I tried to make that clear in the stories, but these are really stories about the young people I worked with. They're all true, and they're all based on my experiences at camp. They are my experiences at camp. I'm really happy to be back here at camp to share them with you. So I'll start with the introduction. It's so nice to see some of my old students here, and it's wonderful to have so many friends, people I love, and I feel your support, which helps me to be less nervous. Bounce as I prance around the living room, imagining myself buoyed on the rolling waters of the Atlantic Ocean. In my blue-striped one-piece bathing suit, my slim 9-year-old body jumps the giant waves. It's a sunny June day, and I can't wait to feel their cold spray in a couple of hours at Jones Beach. My sister Kathy has a pink version of the same suit. She follows me around, excited too. We're waiting for Mommy to come downstairs with our new baby sister, Lori. It will be her first time at the beach. I want to build her a sand castle. I'm startled out of my reverie when the doorbell rings. As I open the heavy front door, I see Uncle Joe and Aunt Mary standing on the porch in silhouette, lit from behind by the bright outdoors. Aunt Mary holds a yellow paper which flaps in the breeze. They're dressed like the New Yorkers they are. They appear stiff, awkward. I reach up to give them hugs. Want to go swimming with us? Uncle Joe lifts Kathy to kiss her. Aunt Mary pinches my cheeks in her Turkish fashion, her accent always alluring. Where is your mother, darling? She's upstairs getting ready, Kathy pipes up. Joe, why don't I go up and talk to Peggy? You stay down here with the girls. We lead our uncle, Daddy's younger brother, into the living room. He has red hair and freckles like me. He reaches out to grab us with both arms, then sits on the couch and pulls Kathy and me onto his lap. He's holding me too tightly for comfort. I try to wiggle away. Suddenly, from her bedroom upstairs, we hear our mother crying, wailing, "No, no, it can't be true." "Let me go, Uncle Joe," I cry. "Mommy, Mommy, what's the matter? Uncle Joe won't let me go." "Let the girls come upstairs, Joe," our mother calls down. I hear pain in her voice. When I reach her, she's lying on her bed, weeping. The room seems dark. Aunt Mary is stroking her head. "Something has happened to your daddy," she tells us. This is my worst nightmare. I adore my daddy. I've always had fears when he traveled overseas. He'd be gone for weeks on business trips. I'd worry his plane might crash, that he'd never come back. I snuggle up next to Mommy. Our tears blend into a river of sorrow. Kathy, only 7, is running around in circles, confused. Mommy reaches for her and holds us both. "What's wrong?" Kathy asks. "Something's happened to Daddy," I try to explain between sobs. Baby Lori has been lying in her crib. Grandma Betty comes down from her room in the furnished attic. In my memory, she arrives in slow motion. She has lived with us for 2 years now, working on a book about Walt Whitman. She grasps hold of the situation, goes to get our baby sister from her crib. Then she sits on the bed with baby Lori in her arms. I see Grandma crying too. We are all devastated. My mother tries to phone Caracas, where my father has been exporting women's dresses for several years. He has named his business after my mother, Peggy Modes. Mommy dials O for operator. First, her voice quavering, she talks to the local operator. And it takes time and effort, but she is soon connected with an operator in Venezuela. Finally, my mother speaks Spanish to someone at the hotel where Daddy has been staying. They confirm that Alberto has died of heart failure. Everything goes blank. Alberto, Caracas, June 22nd, 1956. When they checked his passport for a clue to the funeral service that would do, they were shocked to learn that this man they knew was Jewish. They had thought Elise Sells be like them in spite of his passport, American. Impossible, they said. So they buried my father in a Catholic grave. We never made it to Jones Beach that day. The doorbell, a telegram, a change in the forecast. At a tender age, I suffered an excruciating loss, an experience that ultimately led to my writing this book. Not only did I lose my beloved father, for a while I lost my mother as well. Devastated, she was inconsolable for months. I tried to help out with my sisters, one 7 years, the other 7 months, and coped as well as I could. It was June. The school year was over. Now that my daddy was never coming back, the future looked bleak. My foundation had been yanked from under me. I felt lost. My neighborhood friends didn't know what to say to me. I was brokenhearted and alone. I had no desire to return to public school 118, a soulless brick prison in New York City. I had dropped out in kindergarten because of a mean teacher, and then attended reluctantly in 1st through 4th grade, hating school. The only vision that kept me home in the midst of this crisis was my mother's plan. No, the only vision that gave me hope in the midst of this crisis was my mother's plan to move us to California, where she had grown up.